And recognizing it and accepting that I felt that way was the first step to changing it. Hello, lovely, and welcome to another episode of Loving Life with Court. Today we are talking about a life that is loved has the power to let go. It's going to be a deep one. We're going to be getting into it a little bit. It's after Christmas, literally the day after, we're on Boxing Day, and it's okay. Maybe you've been around people that you just can't stand, that trigger you, get you upset. Maybe you have not so great memories around the holidays. Maybe you're doing great, but still there's some underlying stuff that's going on that you're just really struggling with letting go. So big hugs, because we're going to be talking about that today, but not in a very sad, sappy way. More just if you're going through it, there's some things that you're ready to let go in 2025 that you don't want to bring with you in 2025. This is your episode. So let's get into it. 2 weeks ago, I put an episode out about preparation over exhaustion and how to get things in order for the new year, right? And part of my getting things in order included preparing to let go of things that have not and will not serve me in 2025. For me, it has been a lot to do with more internal than external. I feel like the people I have in my life, I'm happy with the people that are in my life. My relationship is really good. My career is really great. But I still have some things that just reside in the subtle layers of myself that I am just ready to let go of. I'm ready to leave it on the curb and drive away and abandon these thoughts that are no longer serving me. So let's look at that. Let's get into it. When I think about letting go, I see so much power in it. I see a life of forgiveness, of healing, of trust, alignment, peace, discovery, connection, growth. I see like everything I let go of, it's like the staircase, right? And at the end of the staircase, at the very top is the best version of myself. And every time I let go of, a childhood trauma or an experience I had or a limiting belief or a fear, I get to take a step up the staircase. And I feel like I'm almost at the top. We're always going to be taking steps, but I do really feel like I'm higher than I've ever been. But I have had the opportunity to experience the gift and power of letting go. But when I think about who I was when I held on to everything, because no matter what, we still have stuff to work through. But at one point, a bitch could not let go. I held on to everything. Before healing, I remember, it's easy to talk about now after I've done the work, but I remember the weight of my pain. Obviously, I was at 250 pounds and it was physically there, but emotionally as well, the weight of my pain and trauma and guilt, shame, resentment, it went so, so deep. Just talking about it, I can feel the sadness of who that version of me was and what she was going through. And it just felt so heavy. So I felt, now that I'm in this place where it doesn't feel that way at all anymore, I felt it was important to talk about my journey. So, not to be corny, but if your shoulders are getting pretty heavy too, like mine were at one point, let's mentally take a load off, okay? We're going to do it together. And I know that may have been really corny, but we can do this. We got this. And I hope that it helps you with letting go, whether that's a goal you have in 2025, whether it's something that you're ready to let go of now, or maybe it's going to take a while, because it does take a while. But I'm going to share 3 things that really helped me. And the first thing was Probably the most obvious, but I think many of us lack, is just awareness. Recognize and accept what you're holding on to. And that's the hardest thing, because that's when all the pain comes. That's when you start talking about it and you might get angry, or you might get sad, or you might feel, I don't know, whatever. I could tell you all the things that I felt, but I'm sure you have some emotions that are coming up for you. But just recognize and accept what you're holding on to. For a long time, I held on to things that did not serve me, like tying my worth to my weight, or trying to be someone I wasn't just to please others. And it wasn't until I stopped and asked myself, what am I afraid of letting go, that I started to see how much I was carrying. One of the biggest moments of awareness for me was realizing how negative my self-talk was. And I talked about this in the last episode. But I used to think my body wasn't good enough, and I held on to that belief for years. And recognizing it and accepting that I felt that way was the first step to changing it, because I was able to dive into, why did I feel that way? So what I did is I took time to journal or sit with my thoughts, sometimes cry, sometimes yell. We all have different ways of letting it out, as long as it's not towards someone else. I mean, it may be, but I'd suggest not to. But when I feel stuck, I ask myself, what am I holding on to and why? And the awareness helps me see what's weighing me down, especially when you can physically feel it. There's something you're holding on to. And a lot of times, I talk about this quite often on the show, but every few months I have a good breakdown, but I have such an epiphany after the breakdown. And not a breakdown and like I lose my mind, more just like I have a really good cry. Like it's like I snap and I just cry it out, and I feel like my life is over and nothing's going good. And then right at like the peak of it, I realized why I had to go through all those emotions, because there was something weighing me down. I had to work through it. So number one, awareness. Number two, release. And every step is so fucking hard. I'm not going to lie to you, but use mind body practices to free yourself. And this is something that I wish I started doing a long time ago, because it wasn't until I actually felt like I healed through most of my stuff that I found the power of mind and body practices. So letting go isn't just about changing your thoughts, it's about releasing the emotions and energy tied to them, which can show up physically as well. So for me, this happened during my weight loss journey. I didn't just lose weight, I let go of the shame and guilt I'd been carrying around food. And now, it's not just because I lost the weight that it's like that, because sometimes I'll put weight on, but I look at it completely differently, because I no longer tie my self-worth or the things I was told as a child to a fucking number on a scale. Sometimes I have moments where it's harder than other days, but we're all human, right? What I started to do for myself is I started to treat food as fuel for my body instead of punishment or comfort. And I worked on my self-talk, again, talking about that, replacing thoughts like I'm not enough with I love my body for all that it has. And it was a full body, mind, and soul release. So what I did is I loved, and I continue to, I love using rituals to help me let go. There's something about just feeling witchy and spiritual that, and some people say it's a placebo effect. I'm not one of those people, but even if you don't believe and you just kind of like trust the process a little bit, it has such an impact, because sometimes for me, I'll just write down what I'm ready to release. And maybe I'll like burn the paper. I'll do some kind of spell, maybe. I'll watch the smoke carry it away. Other times I'll just move my body, whether it's yoga or dancing around. What I love to do is put on music that I definitely would not have listened to when I was a kid, like AC/DC or something, like some rock, and just like scream it out. And other time, not always, it's not always my music selection. It's country or rap, or it changes all the time. But dancing like a fool, oh, it's so healing. It helps me release so much, because I connect with that kid inside that like doesn't want to hold on to these things. My biggest thing is I just want to be a kid again. And I think many people look at that it's never possible. But every day I get closer to being a kid again instead of aging. I mean, I bet you're still aging, but mentally, I feel closer and closer to who I was as a little girl. And I think that's pretty magical. And how I did that is I released the stuck energy, which can be done through dance or movement. So we have awareness, we have release, and the last one is trust. Trust, trust, trust. Surrender to life's flow. Letting go of control has been one of the hardest things for me because she's a Virgo. And if you know Virgos, we can try to control everything all the time. But yeah, letting go of control is really hard for me, especially being someone that as a child, I had to be in control to be able to have my needs met. This was difficult, right? And when I left my 9 to 5 job, I'm sure you can relate on some kind of level with me, but when I left my 9 to 5 job to pursue podcasting and essentially my dreams, I was terrified. And I had to let go of the fear of failing and trust that I was being guided towards something better. And there were so many moments, there still are sometimes when I have doubt, but when people didn't understand my decision or when I didn't have everything figured out, I just trusted the unknown. And trusting the unknown allowed me to create a life I truly love. I had to throw it in there, but it did. So what I did in terms of trusting is when I feel doubt creeping in, because it's normal to feel it for the rest of your life, I remind myself of this mantra. I release what I cannot control and trust that everything is unfolding for my highest good. And saying it helps me surrender and find peace in the process. So in short, letting go isn't something you do once. It's a practice. It could take months, it could take weeks, it could take years. I've had to let go of control, fear, and even old versions of myself to get to where I am now. And every time I do, I make space for something better. So if you can think about it as if you let go of control, that place you have in your mind and your body that wants to control things makes space for stuff, right? If we let go of control. And if this resonates with you, I hope you'll join me in trying these 3 steps: awareness, release, and trust. And let's create lives we love, one step at a time. Oh, I'm so corny, but I love it. I love you all so much. I hope you had an amazing holiday. The new year's coming. We're not done yet. We're closing season 2 over the next few episodes. Can't wait. I love you to bits and pieces. Friendly reminder to not only be kind to others, but also to your beautiful, amazing self. Don't forget to follow so you never miss another episode. And I'll see you on the next one. Kisses.